championship, and each matchup has history. Will the third time be a charm for Forge FC? In 2021, they went the distance in penalty kicks against CF Montreal at the semifinal stage. So close, but not enough. In 2022, it was a rematch, this time in the quarterfinals. It wasn't close. The MLS side cruised to a 3-0 victory, a heartbreak the CPL team has not forgotten. Then, it's a BC matchup as Pacific FC hosts the Vancouver Whitecaps. In 2021, the town was painted purple when Pacific thrilled their fans with a 4-3 win in the opening round. That loss saw Vancouver part ways with head coach Mark Dos Santos. Vanni Sartini was given the reins, and a year later, he led his team to a Voyageurs Cup. Will the ghosts of Starlight Pass come back to haunt the Whitecaps? It all plays out tonight on One Soccer.
In beautiful Montreal, Saputo Stadium sets the scene for tonight's first semi-final Can-Champ showdown. The visitors hope to spoil the party with aspirations of bringing the Voyageurs Cup to the CPL, while the hosts look to lock up a spot in the final to chase down their 6th national title. And One Soccer gets you ready, Canada, so come on inside. As we welcome you inside our One Soccer studio, Andy Petrillo alongside Jordan Wilson, Gareth Wheeler. We are ready. Are you ready? It's another long night. It's a semi-final. It's a doubleheader. CF Montreal, Forge FC, they're the first of the doubleheader. Later tonight, we will bring you Pacific Vancouver Whitecaps. Let's remind you how these two teams that we're showing you first, Montreal Forge, got to this point. Both have progressed from the start. Montreal beat Vaughan Azzurri in round 1 before dispatching Toronto FC in the quarters. Forge took care of FC Laval to start, and then, can you believe it, for the first time ever, Forge won a game by shootout. They beat Atletico Ottawa 4-3 on PKs in the quarterfinals. Yeah, that's right, for such a strong team. PKs were always a thorn in their side, but they have overcome that obstacle. Can they overcome another obstacle? And at the risk of sounding like a broken record, is this the year we see a CPL team win the Canadian Championship title? Let me ask you this, Wheels. Of Forge and Pacific, the two CPL teams, which one has a better chance of an upset here tonight over an MLS side? I would love to see it. There's nothing that I'd love to see more, because I think it would take this competition to another level. But tonight, Andy, it's going to be tough. I think that both teams from the Canadian Premier League are underdogs for very good reasons. Never mind the money that's spent on MLS sides compared to CPL sides. I think that there are some inherent advantages that both MLS teams have tonight. One, CF Montreal is playing at home. They've won their last 4 games all at home, 2-0 the final each and every time. And while they're hardly a complete article, I still think that they need a lot of work if they expect to be a playoff team come MLS, in MLS play this season. I just think that playing at home on the grass might just give them that little bit of an edge that they require. And Vancouver Whitecaps, for me, they're the best team in Canada right now. And they're on great form. They just beat Seattle Sounders on the weekend. They've only won 1 game away from home all season long, came at York United in the Canadian Championship. But I just think that team has enough depth and high-end talent that they're going to push Pacific to the limits.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. I believe Forge can win the treble. They have to start, obviously, by winning tonight. This is a well-balanced team. They are unbeaten in 8. If there's a team to do it, I have to back Forge. I will say also maybe at Saputo Stadium, this is a place where it's going to take some grit and grind. Forge are usually used to being the big dogs and playing a certain type of football. Tonight, they might have to be a bit nasty if they want to get that result. Pacific, playing at home, I also think they could do it, because that pitch, the dimensions just being a bit smaller, a bit tighter, it's built for a bloodbath. I think they have the team to do it. I know that for set pieces might be a strong area for them to attack. But look, I don't care who does it. I just want a CPL side going through.
I will say this, Andy, and I will agree with Jordan. Of every year thus far that CPL teams have played in this competition, the best chance is this year for that to happen. Because these CPL teams, with the 2 best CPL teams left standing, at least what they've shown here in the early season, Montreal, again, far from a finished article. Vancouver Whitecaps, I think our takeaway of them early this season is good, not great. Like, none of these sides in the Canadian Championship this year from the MLS are their vintage best sides.
Agreed.
So this is the opportunity. We're still early in the season. What an opportunity. Cannot wait for these games tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, we love Montreal, Vancouver. Of course, you always love those teams, but there's just something about the underdog story, right? Just watching these CPL teams and see what kind of magic they can create here tonight. Well, tonight, brotherly love is going to turn into sibling rivalry because you had David Choinière of Forge taking on baby bro Matthew Choinière of CF Montreal. What does each bring to their team here, Jordo?
Well, Matthew, technician, I think he's getting better and better each game that he plays. David, he has that little spice as well, and he's a guy that came up big for Forge in 2022. So tonight, look, I'm a little brother. My brother's 5 years older than me. I would pay money right now to play him in a game for all the marbles. I hope both of these brothers come to play tonight.
Both players can be highly impactful tonight. We'll start with David, playing off on the wide right. He's going to challenge familiar faces in Joel Waterman, formerly of the Canadian Premier League. Lassiter's more attack-minded as well, so we'll see how they deal with a real attacking threat in David. For Mathieu, he's coming to his own this year, playing a more natural position for him. He's not playing on the outside anymore. He's playing in the heart of midfield. I think it's a statement tonight that Losada is playing him alongside Wanyama with those two in the midfield. The preferred back three, the spine of the team with CF Montreal is very strong. I know there's a lot of shouts for him to be part of the Canada setup this summer as well. Probably more likely Gold Cup than Nations League, but he's put himself at the very least in that conversation.
In other sports, we've seen brothers oftentimes when they go head to head, it can get a little chippy, it can get nasty. I don't know, we've never really seen that with the Choinière brothers. We don't see like a hard tackle.
Tonight is the night, Andy.
But maybe tonight we see it. Our boy Christian Jack is taken in the action, and he had a chance to catch up with CF Montreal manager Hernan Losada.
Hernan, great to see you. A cup semi-final doesn't get much bigger than this. What's the message to the team before you head out there?
The message is that this is a beautiful opportunity and at the same time a beautiful responsibility to bring this community and this beautiful organization to a final, a cup final. So we will try to enjoy it, but at the same time we will take this very seriously because it's a great opportunity for the club and for all of us.
In the league, you've had mixed results, but you've been very good here at home. What have you liked from your team in games here at home this season?
Well, first of all, the fan base and the support we get on every home game, it's beautiful, and the players feel a lot more comfortable. Of course, it's also up to us to find ways to reply those good performances when we play on the road, but today we hope we can have our crowd behind us and to have a good game.
Final one for you is on your opponent. I know you just had a good chat with Bobby Smirniotis. What do you think of him and this team? What do you guys need to look for tonight against this team?
First of all, we need to look after ourselves. We have to make sure we are concentrated. It's one game, all or nothing, and every mistake it can be dangerous. So full focus, full concentration on our game, on the things we want to do, and try to take the game in hand from the first minute.
Semi-finals are always special. Enjoy it. We appreciate it.
Thank you too.
Here's a look at CF Montreal starting 11, and they don't shy away from rivalries, that's for sure. Third straight year in the Canadian Championship, they're facing Forge, but we know just a couple weeks ago, the excitement there going up against Toronto FC, they got rid of them in the Canadian Championship, then played them in MLS action, and that itself was also a highly entertaining match. What do you make of this team right now when you look at their personnel, Gareth? I mean, is this a team that you feel is built to win trophies?
Maybe not to win every trophy in every competition, but this is a strong starting 11 tonight. Hernan Losada said midweek that it's a priority to go out and win this competition. Joel Waterman coming off scoring on the weekend. He's in good form. Couple surprises. Zachary Broguillard in ahead of Aaron Herrera. They do have 4 Canadians starting. Herrera's been great. Broguillard has barely had a look this season. He's very much a reserve in that outside right position. And Mr. Canadian Championship, at least the last 2 seasons in terms of scoring goals, Sunisi Ibrahim is preferred over 04 tonight. Ibrahim scored a hat trick against this Forge side last season. So that's a little bit of an interesting move as well. Miljevic as well. Good to have him back in the team. Adds that little bit of an X factor, more creative influence in behind. No Kyoto tonight in the 11. Should also mention that.
And that's what I was going to say. That's, for me, that's the biggest and best player for this Montreal side. Winning trophies, I mean, Can Champs, you could say, I know I've just backed Forge, but you could say that maybe they should be getting to a final. But to build on this team, is this a CF Montreal team that could compete in MLS and win that cup as well? No, they have a lot more work to do. I think going forward, they struggle or lack a couple of big dogs. I know Kyoto is probably one of the best players for me, but just need a bit more up top.
They look like they were running in mud last weekend against the Red Bulls. They lost 2-1. Red Bulls are not a very good team. Playing away from home, they've typically struggled in every game that they haven't played Toronto FC, really, and we know the state of TFC right now. Right now, CF Montreal, in terms of advanced stats, they're dead last in expected goal differential at -8. Worst in Major League Soccer. So although they did win some games on the trot, there's still not a complete article. A lot of young players in this team. And I think that this is a side that Forge would be like, okay, we'd rather play Montreal than Vancouver tonight, so they're going to give them their best shot.
Yeah, Montreal was on a 6-game unbeaten in this country because, yes, we can go on about are they spending their money or getting the big-name players here, but they're really bringing in some younger players and, again, that ecosystem in Canadian soccer of the Canadian Premier League. So you can see Jonathan Sirois getting the start. There's Joel Waterman, Sean Rea. Let's not forget James Pantemis as well, the backup goalkeeper here tonight, also all having seen time in the CPL. I mean, this is obviously CF Montreal is using what has been created in this country at their disposal.
It's beautiful, as well as using players going on loan to get them minutes and to develop their status and get them comfortable playing, and then bringing them back as well. But look, there's a league here with talented players, and I'm not saying every player can go play in the MLS. But if you pick out the crop, the top 2 teams, if it works for your team and your system, there should be more teams in the MLS doing and looking at the CPL as a place for them to get players.
And guess what? Sirois, Rea with Valor did well and have done well against Forge in recent years as well. So the framework's there. Sean Rea a little bit unlucky to be left out tonight. Bryce Dukes preferred playing underneath Sunis Ibrahim in attack. But he's had a little bit of a breakout season, scored a great goal here in the Canadian Championship against Vaughan Azzurri, and you're seeing those steps in the right direction. Rea, also one of those names included on that 53-man provisional squad list for Canada for the CONCACAF Nations League as well. So these players have done well and using the pipeline and the opportunities that are afforded to them. Good on them.
Not CPL, a little bit of an asterisk, but still worth mentioning. Alistair Johnson coming through League One Ontario, as we know, for about 5 years there, playing with Vaughan Azzurri. Yes, he was already in MLS with Nashville before they took him, but why not just throw his name into the mix too, as somebody?
Lots of guys.
Yeah, so many guys, exactly, for sure. All right, let's take a look at the opponent now, Forge FC, and let's hear from Bobby Smirniotis with KJ.
Bobby, great to see you. It's a semi-final. It doesn't get much bigger than this. What's the message to the players before they step on the pitch?
Enjoy the game. You know, you put yourself in these situations for these moments to try and get yourself into big games. We got to go out there. We have to execute. We have to be at our best. We know that. We're playing a very good opponent today, and that's where we are.
You talk about execution. You've created a lot of chances in the season so far, maybe not always being able to put it in. How big is it to be a clinical finishing team tonight?
Yeah, I think so. In these games, that's what it comes down to. It comes down to a lot of times getting that first goal. So a lot of the details are important, and the first goal for either team is going to be very critical tonight.
Last one for you. With that in mind, you've got a lot to choose from in terms of attacking players. You decided to go with Woobens, Passius up front. Obviously a connection to this club. What were the reasons for that?
Yeah, it's never easy with us. You can pick from a few guys to go up there. You know, I think he's been sharp. He's a guy that's ready for games like this, and we're looking for big things with him.
Bobby, always a pleasure. Good luck. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
Here's Forge's starting 11, and they're off to their best ever start in 2023 here in CPL. I mean, this is a team, 3 wins, 3 draws so far this season to top the table. They have not dropped any games yet. They are 3-time North Star Shield winners. They're the first CPL team to go from CONCACAF League to CONCACAF Champions League. They did that in 2021. So that's why when I mentioned they are a dynasty already in the short time that the CPL has been around and what they've been able to accomplish, I don't ask this question lightly. Is this side of Forge, do you feel they're fielding their best ever right now? This is the year where they are fielding their best ever lineup.
I think they can be. They're off to their best ever start to the season. So I think that should be a definitive yes. And there's a recognition, and you spoke to Bobby on One Nation this week, your wonderful show.
Thank you very much.
By the way,
yeah.
You should check it out. Just about the need to compete in all competitions. And tonight, this is the priority. Bobby makes 5 changes from the weekend. Looking at this team, Jordan, it's their best starting 11. I don't think there's any doubt about that. There's been significant rotation, by the way, with Forge over the course of the early stretch of the season. Passius leads the line. He's playing every game, but he's only played 280 minutes. So these players are getting a little bit of rotation, but they're fresh as well. No team is deeper in the Canadian Premier League. And look, a lot of these players were in Montreal. It was a year ago tomorrow when they got smashed 3-0 to CF Montreal. What a learning experience for those guys. Then they need to apply it and show that they've grown. They brought some more experience into the team as well. They're ready to go on and do their best in this game, and I think that they can push this Montreal side.
When I pulled up to the studio today, I knew the 11.
Yeah.
I knew that this is a squad that is going to come out, and if they're going to beat or slay the Dragons today, this is the team. Not because this is the only 11 that they could play, but these are the strongest guys in their position. I think with this Forge team, what you're seeing a bit more this season than other seasons prior, is that they're just that much more balanced. Mandrakar James coming in, balanced. A Hodgepur, I remember I gave him slack for coming from Pacific, coming into Forge. I'm like, why did you do that after a winning season? But has flourished. This team is balanced. This is possibly the best team I've seen for Forge to go and take on a team right now in the MLS.
One Nation, we did a Canadian Championship trivia.
Oh, you brought it up.
I won. It's all on our socials. Go check it out. It's a thing of beauty. It
Humble brag.
Yeah, humble brag. Forge, as we know, is looking for redemption. Jordan's going to be looking for redemption from me. As we all have been saying, last year was a 3-0 loss at the hands of Montreal. They were down 2-0 at half, prompting Bobby Smirniotis to proclaim that was the worst half he's ever seen his team play. What went wrong and how can they flip the script this year? That's next on One Soccer.
The Canadian Championship is on one channel, One Soccer.
It looks like we're headed towards
And many people's
stagflation.
dreams of owning a home.
What's keeping you up at night?
I'm kind of stressed about my money situation.
Oof, it's stressful to talk about.
Oscar, come here.
Here's your financial stress companion.
She definitely helps.
It's never too late to start.
Good portfolio. With saving for my first down payment.
Thank you, Canada, for making dreams come true. We're with you all the way.
To play. It's something that's in us from the very beginning, and something we take with us on every step of the journey. When we have no words, it gives us a way to speak. When we are still finding our way in the world, it gives us somewhere to belong. And no matter who we are or where we come from, it gives us the right to dream.
Christine Sinclair, as she scores at her 5th World Cup. Alfonso Davies!
It's time to celebrate the game we love. It's time to play.
One channel for Canada's national teams. One Soccer. Forge and Montreal went 11 rounds in penalty kicks in 2021, but last year the MLS side took care of business early. What did Montreal do right, and how can Forge challenge them this year? Let's go to the tactical board, also known as the big boy board, with Gareth and Jordan. Break it down.
It's big enough. And if you're a Forge fan, you might want to turn away. You might want a smaller screen. So get out your phone or mobile device, because the game was done early, and it was ugly early and late for Forge last season in the Canadian Championship. A 3-0 victory for CF Montreal, and not even CF Montreal's best team. And when I look at this game, the first 2 goals conceded is probably an area where Forge are vastly improved this season, but it really led to their downfall last year. They had Alexander Ashen-Yodi-Janssen playing center back. He was converted to a center back, and a lot of inexperience around him. And Bobby Smirniotis had in this game decided to play in a back 5, and it backfired. So let's play the tape. This is how CF Montreal scored their first goal. Highlight. Got no problem here. Clearly, with the 2 players playing underneath their CF Montreal, they want to play between the lines. That's not a problem, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have a 5th Forge defender who's out of the screen. So you're fine. 4 with 5 behind. You're okay with that, aren't you?
Yeah.
as long as the rotations are proper. So if we play this through and we can show you what happens, either they need to drop in time or a player needs to come up and pick up a man, or in unison, the back line needs to drop to just keep the play in front.
Regardless, Wheels, this area should never happen in football when you're defending, right? Having I would say a 20-yard distance. Some managers want a 10-yard distance. This is 20 yards of space where a player can come in and find pocket.
But even if it does end up there, we can play this through. The back line needs to communicate and play together. Instead, they all stay high. 3 players decide to run back, and the one player just runs straight through.
Yeah.
Someone needs to come up and put pressure on this player that's making this pass. Again, whether it's midfielder or anyone in the back 4, just wasn't quick enough reacting.
And this is, again, with kind of the downfall when you play with a 5. It's because they're always in between. Oh, do you have him? Do I have him? When you play with 2, and when you play with a back 4, it's a bit more, who has to go with the runner there. They split the gaps way too easily, CF Montreal.
So 5 players cut high across the back line that time. Another moment here, and you're going to see mixed or lack of communication here. Ashton Janssen telling Hugh Rappaport, come in, tuck in and mark that man.
A 6, a center midfielder, which is, he shouldn't be doing. He should be screening. He should be in the front.
Yes. So if we play this through, clearly Rappaport doesn't stick. He chooses to stay with this man, and he's left wide open. Look at the spacing behind. Rama commits. Again, no need to push. Yeah. Just stay back. They need to be patient tonight, Forge. You can play this through. You see the high line. Ashton Janssen comes. 2 players in the back line. Kamara, Ibrahim, ball in the back of the net.
It's that space, if you exploit it, it's game over. You have to be close, and they weren't close enough.
We'll go back to Andy, but the difference this time around is that Mandrakar James is in the team. Ashton Morgan is in the team for Forge. And thus far this season, they played much better defensively. There's experience there. So some of these amateur mistakes, Forge hopes that they don't play out again here tonight. Back to you, Andy.
All right, great stuff, guys. Well, kickoff is just around the corner in the first of our doubleheader tonight. It's the semifinals of the Canadian Championship. 1 step away from playing for a trophy. No room for error. The action is right here on One Soccer. The Canadian Championship on One Soccer is brought to you by CIBC.
It looks like we're headed towards
And many people's dreams of owning a home.
What's keeping you up at night?
I'm kind of stressed about my money situation.
Oh, it's stressful to talk about.
Oscar, come here.
Here's your financial stress companion.
She definitely helps. It's never too late to start. Good portfolio. With saving for my first down payment.
CPL is on one channel, One Soccer.
Gatorade, with electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat, carbs to help fuel your working muscles, and fluids to help you hydrate. Scientifically formulated so you never stop competing.
I do this for my town, my time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. Gatorade.
At Toyota, our lineup of electrified vehicles is always growing. We're evolving the ways we move so that every Canadian has a choice towards a more sustainable future. One that includes the all-new, all-electric Toyota BZ4X. Because every electrified vehicle we build at Toyota brings us all closer to a better future.
One channel for CONCACAF Champions League. One Soccer.
CanadaSoccerStore.com is the official home for the widest range of Canada Soccer licensed product, match jerseys, and fanwear.
All right, here's the thing. You can add another title to your cabinet right now. CPL regular season, North Star Shield, or Canadian Championship.
Canadian Championship.
It's the one that's missing.
Come on, complete
right?
it. That's the one.
Friend of the show, Bobby Smirniotis, was on One Nation. You heard the question, you heard the answer. How far away, or maybe I should say how close, do you think Forge is to being like an MLS caliber team?
There's about a handful of players, I would say, just on one hand, that I would say are MLS players already right now. Maybe out of age or like they're not at an MLS level, but I would say that out of caliber, yes. But when you take teams from 12 to about 20, I think that's where Forge fall. There's a bit weak, I would say. But the style of play that they have, the players that they have within their squad, I think that level is at MLS.
I don't think that the fringe players are weak. They're just inexperienced. That's why the Canadian Premier League is so important, because Major League Soccer teams historically haven't been serving in the best interests of Canadian players. That isn't always the case. But here, your depth of talent, you have a group of Canadians that are searching for their way and making their livelihood playing through professional soccer. I think they're close. I think they're close, Andy. Oftentimes, Canadian players have been disrespected across Major League Soccer, not getting opportunities. I mean, this Forge team has the chance tonight to silence a lot of the critics. Much has been said in recent months, some in letter form from some of the best players who represent this country, with disparaging remarks towards CPL teams. I hope that there's a good reminder to Forge and these players tonight. Same goes for Pacific tonight. What's on the line? Christian Jack said it on our broadcast on the weekend. He said, this could be the biggest week in Canadian Premier League history. And I buy it. Tonight is huge for the CPL and all these players proving that they belong.
And it's not just with players. I mean, I know Bobby Smirniotis just about a month ago signed a new deal with Forge for extending for 4 years. But already whenever there's trouble in MLS land with coaches, his name always comes up as somebody who could possibly coach in Major League Soccer.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I'll believe
Again,
it. Sure.
These clubs are typically run by Americans. And the featured players typically come from overseas. You know, there's nothing wrong with the Canadian product. Canadian coaches are great too. Let's see what Forge can do tonight. Against Montreal, in fairness, has had a renewed commitment towards Canadian players.
Yeah.
And some of them are thriving. So.
And you know what else is great? The Canadian Championship. This is the 2023 edition. This is the semifinal. This is the first of our doubleheader. CF Montreal hosting Forge FC. Third straight year these two teams are meeting in the Canadian Championship. The previous two have gone Montreal's way. Do they get the hat trick, or does Forge finally get over the obstacle? Kickoff right around the corner here on One Soccer.
The Canadian Championship is on one channel, One Soccer.
The Canadian Championship on One Soccer is brought to you by Toyota.
At Toyota, our lineup of electrified vehicles is always growing. We're evolving the ways we move so that every Canadian has a choice towards a more sustainable future. One that includes the all-new, all-electric Toyota VZ4X. Because every electrified vehicle we build at Toyota brings us all closer to a better future.
Life's better with extra space. Space for family. Space for memories. Space for you. Try 4 weeks free. Access Storage, proud partner of Canada Soccer and the Canadian Championship.
Gatorade, with electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat, carbs to help fuel your working muscles, and fluids to help you hydrate. Scientifically formulated so you never stop competing.
I do this for my town, my time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. Gatorade.
Thank you, Canada, for making dreams come true. We're with you all the way.
The Canadian Championship on One Soccer is brought to you by Allstate. One channel for Canada's national teams. One Soccer.